I see you here. I wanted to talk about guilt today and how useless of an emotion it is. Okay, so this is a good one. So, what up, bi babes? I'm back at it with another bisexual men speak video. So, for this video, I'm going to be addressing something that one of my bi friends told me. So he let me know that his boyfriend calls him gay behind his back. Okay, where to begin? This is something that happens with a lot of bi guys, and this happens when you get in a relationship with a guy who's gay, or when you have friends who are gay. They oftentimes label you gay. As you know, on this channel, I've made many videos about why we should do the internal work so that we are comfortable with being assumed to be gay, but that internal work does not mean that it's okay for people to call you gay. If you are not okay with being called gay, or if you told them that you're bi and they disregard that and call you gay. So I know that might sound a little contradictory or a bit complicated, but it's not. It's about boundaries, and it's about respecting people's labels. It's about people respecting either your lack of labels or your labels, and it's about bi-erasure. Bi-erasure is something that is incredibly damaging and deadly to bisexual people, and it happens every single day. The world is set up in a way so that we assume that everybody around us is straight until they do something that is a bit different, or they defy gender norms, and then we assume that they're gay. And bisexual people just completely get left out of that equation. And even in a step further, in relationships, if you are in a monogamous relationship with a person, depending on their gender, people will assume your sexuality based on the gender of the partner that you're with currently, and a whole host of other things. And it is this willful denial that bisexuality is a legitimate identity, that being attracted to more than one gender is a legitimate thing. And it is this sort of obsession with determining whether somebody is on your side, on your gay side, or on their side, on the straight side. And sexuality doesn't work like that. That is really, really messed up. I think some people might not see this as that big of a deal, but to me it is, because to me it says that, first of all, they don't really see all of you, and they don't respect this identity. And it might go even further than that. I always kind of say that whenever I meet somebody who is biphobic, I always personally expect them to also be transphobic. And obviously bisexuality and being transgender are not the same thing. But what I mean is that people who only see things as black or white and cut and dry, they often have a very hard time understanding what it is to be non-binary or agender, or to be transgender. So if somebody is biphobic, it's very likely they will also ignore all of these other identities as well. I also find that there are people who make sweeping generalizations and don't look at the nuance of life, and also that they're just not able to respect that we are not all the same, and that's okay. Another part of this that is so frustrating is that this is bi-erasure happening in real time. So we talk about bi-erasure all the time. How does it happen? What causes it? Who has it happened to? Blah, blah, blah. Who are the historical figures that we've forgotten? All of these things. But recognizing it in real time and recognizing who are the ones doing the bi-erasing. So this starts with your boyfriend, and now it's with your boyfriend's friends. This starts with your girlfriend, and now it's with your girlfriend's friends. And before you know it, people are like, oh yeah, I don't know any bi people. Bi people don't exist. And it's not just about who will and won't date a bisexual man, right? It's not just about that, right? Whatever. When you look at large organizations, large LGBT organizations, and you look at a breakdown of where the funding goes and how much programming is funded for bisexual things, for bisexual mental health, for bisexual sexual health, for bisexual all around pleasure and fun and things specifically for us, it is minuscule. It is pennies of these multi-million-dollar budgets. When you talk about like, oh, well then bi people should step up and get leadership roles in these organizations or whatever. There are so many bi plus people that I know who have gone into these jobs, and once they let them know that they are bi, they are discounted. They are now seen as a liar, and I don't want a liar working for me. This is real stuff. This is a part of our society. This is a part of specifically the LGBT communities. This is what it looks like when a bi person comes and says, oh yeah, like I'm attracted to this gender and I have these experiences, or I have these attractions. I don't even have to have experience with more than one gender. I am attracted to more than one gender. People have a real stigma with that leads to identities being erased, people not having jobs, people not having homes, people being sexually harassed all the time, people being sexually assaulted, etc. So for me, this is like a character flaw on that boyfriend, and my friend might need to literally have a sit-down conversation about why this is wrong and might need to do some educating, even though he himself is not the most comfortable with, you know, his attractions. But I think that this is not just isolated to this specific area of his life, that this is a bigger character thing that perhaps will permeate other parts of him and parts of the relationship too. So another part of why bi-erasure is so dangerous is because it makes us feel like, first of all, we never existed and like we never contributed anything to both society and specifically to the LGBT movement. But when you talk about the first ever LGBT organization on a college campus, it was created by Donnie the Punk in 1966 at Columbia University. And he was bisexual. And that is something that is constantly erased out of history. But Stephen Donaldson, aka Donnie the Punk, was bisexual. When you talk about the term sex worker, that was created by Scarlett the Harlot. Her government name is Carol Lee. There's even a documentary about her. When you talk about figures like Malcolm X, he was bisexual. When you talk about Pride as we know it, Pride would not exist as we know it if it was not for Brenda Howard. 1 month after the Stonewall riots, organized Christopher Street Liberation Day, which was a march. And then 1 year later, she organized a march to commemorate the Stonewall riots, which is now what we know as Pride, which happens in a lot of major cities across the world. So it's really frustrating, like bi-erasure, and seeing it happening in real time is a real problem. And this has happened to me many times, but specifically with friends. Like my friends will just say things like, oh yeah, we're gay. And it's like, I'm not. And I mean, it's also tricky because I don't want them to necessarily always out me, right? When we're around people who I don't really know like that, I don't personally always want people to know that I'm bi because of things that I've mentioned to you guys in the past. But yeah, there's just something about that is so messed up when your friends do it, when your loved ones do it, when they label you as gay or straight. Even with that, so I know a bi guy who likes when people label him straight. He likes that. He doesn't mind it. But if somebody labels him gay, he hates it, and it makes him feel so uncomfortable. And yeah, there's the real societal danger that being gay or being perceived as gay presents. But internally, what is so bad about you being attracted to another guy? So that might be a place of work that you need. And also outside of the whole internal work around that, there's also the perception. Do you agree with them? Do you agree that straight men are more manly than gay men? Do you enjoy the assumed dominance and the assumed power that comes with being assumed straight, you know? And I think that's an area that you might want to unpack and unlearn. But with friends, with people who are my chosen family, people I'm deciding to be around, with them not respecting my sexuality, that says a lot. Even if they don't know all of these things about bi-erasure and how deadly and damaging it is, why can't you just respect me? Why can't you just get it right? Why are you refusing to acknowledge this part of me? And maybe I don't need to know the answer to that. Maybe I just need to separate myself from this dynamic. Even with people like Whitney Houston, we've seen how she's been erased. I did a whole video on that, right? And it makes us in real time, bisexual people, feel like we don't have a history, like we haven't contributed anything to society or to the LGBT movement, when that's just not true. We're just constantly erased depending on the gender of the partner that we're with, depending on our gender presentation, how we show up in the world. People just erase our sexuality, and it's not right. So for those people in your life who do this or have done this, show them this video and show them how harmful it is to our psyches and to history and to this movement. A lot of gay people and lesbians feel like, oh, we're not really in it. We're not in it for the long haul. We're not in it for the fight. And that's not true. When you look at history, there have been so many bisexual people who have been politically aligned with LGBT groups. And that same energy of, oh, you're not really down for it, you're not really down for the fight, that same energy is not kept for gay and lesbians who are not politically aligned with LGBT movements. It's not the same. I feel like so many people dump their shit onto bisexuals. Anytime they get frustrated, it's like, oh, it's bisexuals' fault. Oh, look at the bisexuals, look at what they're doing. Trying to make it a feature of bisexuality that we're not aligned with LGBT movements politically is biphobic. That's a person thing. That's not because we are bi. So yeah, those are some of my thoughts. That was kind of like a bit of a rant. I don't really do those a lot, but thank you for watching, and if you've made it this far, please leave me some hearts in the comment section below. If you would like to help me in any way, my CashApp, my Venmo information is right down below as well. And I have a wish list, so if you want to get me something, right down below in the description box. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye, babes.